We're good. We're on.
Okay, hold on. Hi, I'm Jim Moreno, and I'm with the Evolutionary Poetry Brigade, and we are here to support the Friends of Friendship Park. I'm here also with Dan Watman, Pilar Rodriguez Aranda, Dolores Fisher is not here, Joe Malash is here, Gerardo Navarro is here, and Chris Vanoy, and we're going to hopefully raise $500 today. Our Zoom master, Alfred Williams, is making sure that this will be recorded and put on the internet. So welcome to this fundraiser. This is called Huellas en la Arena, Footprints in the Sand, for Enrique Marones and the Border Angels. We carry the water down. We carry the water down. Llevamos el agua abajo, to the floor of the canyon carpeted with sand. We carry hope down. We carry hope down. Llevamos esperanza abajo. We carry compassion down. We carry inoculation for hate modification, racist hate that sliced full life water bottles, bigoted blades draining liquid life into the sand. We replace the empty with the full. We replace the empty with the full. Reponemos el vacío con el lleno. We replace the senseless with the sane. We transform the greed with the sage, change fascism to freedom, reverse hot hate consternation with cool water of life. Singing Indian songs, recalling simpler times when sand was not symbol of desperate human rivers, when human beings were not for sale, when a wind called justice dance to one land, sand's borders, to border angel smiles. But we are symbols too. We are symbols too. Somos símbolos también. We are reminders in a sea of hatred, insanity, in an ocean of fascist freedom thieves. We embrace strong raza care. Over the glacier carried stones, over cactus and scurrying critters, among 100 rivers of footprints, painting sand, bringing liquid peace among briars and burrs, among snakes and scorpions, with a dearth of clouds in the burning desert sky, in almost never life-saving shade. In the desert, 1/8 stinging or sticking, cuts, scrapes, burns, bruises, or bites. And when the sunshine state wildcat succumbed to the bull, the brain heat, vomiting the unbelievable manipulation, puking the unbearable exploitation of the poor and the marginalized to the ad nauseum, a great reprieve was spoken by the elder, the ancient admonition that was handed down from generation to generation, that we are all spokes on the same wheel, connected in the center. And the 700 buried not too far from here, los cientos enterrado cerca de aquí, forced by brutal bigot person to die in brutal bigot heat. The 700 murdered by state violent paper writ by the new bottle, old poison Eurocentric hegemony hate. The 700 buried so far from home might have left this river of injustice tracks to remind us that this desert death is unjust. This desert dying is as un-American as corporate kings and queens plundering broken lives from impunity, from let them eat cake arrogance, from fascist foreign policy. La migra, la migra, la migra. So we carry the water down. We carry the water down. Llevamos el agua abajo. We move, dousing hatred's fire of those who have never been hungry, those who have never been thirsty, those who hold the gold, making racist rules, sponsoring vigilantes, breaking hearts and breaking lives, descendants of immigrants, crucifying immigrants, deputies of injustice, slaughtering 5,000 innocents, pale writers of so many unnecessary epitaphs. La migra, la migra, la migra. But we are writers too. We are writers too. Somos escritores también. Somos escritores, and there are more of us than there are of them. For this panegyric, we all carry the water down. Entonces llevamos todos el agua abajo until there are no more footprints in the sand. All of us carry the water down through the prickly cactus in the suffocating heat. We all carry the water down to raise the hopes of desperate desert walkers. We all carry the water down. All of us carry the water down, singing songs of justice, singing songs of peace, singing Indian songs of freedom until one glorious day there are no more desert deaths. See that beautiful day when there are no more footprints in the sand, no más huellas en la arena, en la arena. So we talked about having you come up next, but Dan is here, so we'll go back to the original. This man has suffered so much from La Migra, and I think you could tell from my expressions in that poem that I'm very, very close to him, and when he has been hurt by La Migra, it's hurt me, but it's hurt a lot of us. So he's going to talk to you now about why we're here. He's going to talk to you about why he's endured. He is an artivist, an activist, and an artist. And I think he also has a poem for you after he does his talk. Please welcome Dan Watman. And we're going to stand right here.
Okay. I'm going to go live on Instagram.
We're recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Pues, hello everyone. ¿Cómo están? Español and English or Spanglish?
Ambos.
Okay. So my name is Dan Watman, and thank you so much for joining on Zoom and in person, and to help support Friendship Park. Especially thank my good friend Jim Moreno, who over the years has been super dedicated to helping and supporting in any way he can to this park, and does it through his art and through poetry. He's gone to the park on several occasions, I think at least a dozen times, just to read poetry and kind of mark that sacred space that's now being desecrated. For those who don't know, they brought in they have this project where they're bringing in two 30-foot walls through the middle of the park. They already put in one, and now they're working on the second one. And the second one is actually the primary barrier, you could say, the one that divides the two countries. So we're doing all we can, and we're worried because when they put that one in, tear down the old one and put in this new one that's almost twice as high, they'll affect the garden, the binational friendship garden of native plants, which they already destroyed on the US side. It's half and half on each side through the wall. So it's still looking beautiful on the Mexican side. So we're going to be out there defending our plants as long as we can. And yeah, so we're really appreciative of this event, because there's going to be there's going to be lots of costs to doing this, to activism, and so any kind of fundraiser is extremely helpful. Muchas gracias. Pues traduzco un poco al español, ¿sí? Que para los que no saben, están ahora construyendo dos muros grandes, gigantescos, en el Parque Binacional de Amistad. Son de 30 pies, pues son entre 9 y 10 metros, y ya hicieron uno y ya están empezando a instalar el otro. Y pues básicamente están convirtiendo nuestro parque en una prisión, ¿no? O sea, ¿qué parque tiene 2 muros de 30 pies, ¿no? O sea, no pertenecen en un parque, no deben de estar ahí. Y dicen que ya que estén, van a abrir una puerta para que la gente pueda entrar y estar en ciertas horas dentro de esa zona. Y claro que lo vamos a aceptar si es que lo hacen, aunque tengo mis dudas. Eh, pero, pero eso no es un parque, es una prisión, ¿no? O sea, de hecho, las restricciones son más fuertes que de lo que se encuentra en una prisión. Entonces, la única diferencia es que no hay criminales, es un parque, supuestamente. Entonces, estamos haciendo lo que podamos para salvar el parque. En este momento, hace pocos días, destruyeron el jardín del lado estadounidense y va súper bien todavía del lado mexicano. Entonces, vamos a seguir defendiendo las plantas de este lado de la frontera. Y muchas gracias a ustedes, los que están aquí presentes, por cruzar la frontera. Thank you so much to everybody that's here for crossing the border. Or I don't know if everyone crossed the border, but those across, thank you so much, and thank you for coming, everyone. And to this very beautiful space, Casa del Túnel. It's a great space for art and poetry and music. And I'm really glad that you chose this place to try and support in any way we can the efforts at Friendship Park. And muy bien, pues I have one little tiny poem here, if I can find it. Just a real quick poem called, tengo un poema muy corto de 10 segundos o menos. It's like a 5-second poem. It's called Haiku Dream for the Borderlands. The walls become leaves, the smokestacks towering trees, and the people free. Okay. Muchas gracias, Jim. Thank you so much again.
All right, and so if you look at the flyer that was put together on here, there is a QR code right here. I'm pointing at it, and you can go to the flyer, and you can focus your cell phone on there, and you can make a donation in it. And I know most of the rich people got most of the money now because of the wealth distribution that's screwed up in our country. But anything small would help out to help us fight these tyrants that want to kill the spirit of what this man and the Friends of the Friendship Garden are all about. And so we have an award-winning filmmaker who is our Zoom master today. And he's been around us for a long time now, and he's been influenced by our poetry, especially at Second Sunday Jimmy Poetry at the Space Bar in La Mesa. He's been our Zoom master there. And he read a poem to me the other day, and he blew my socks off. So I've got to buy new socks now. And so this is Mr. Alfred Williams, and he is going to talk to you now and read his poem.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you for letting me be part of this ceremony. And, we have to do more to build connections and tear down walls. And I firmly believe in the rights of the people. And it's only through collectivism that we can demonstrate and that we can fight against all these different types of oppression. So this poem is called The Pressure. Black man, black man, black man, how much more can you withstand the pressure? Black man, black man, black man, how many body blows did they land? The pressure. Black man, black man, black man, can you meet the constant demand? The pressure. How much stress, constantly under duress, never quite able to impress, never quite able to finesse, never quite able to find success, double down hard, play your last card. The pressure. Black man, black man, black man, no matter how far you run, you can never outrun the gun. You never won, you're never done. The pressure. Black man, black man, black man, last hired, first fired, always tired, denied a fair wage, denied a place on stage, denied a decent roof, denied history and truth. The pressure. Black man, black man, black man, fought in every war, yet still I'm shown the door. For equality I still employ, still held to the bottom floor. How much more can you stand? Is this really your land? The pressure. So you fight, keep it tight, rising above every slight. Don't let them hear, don't let them near, don't let them see your fear. Hold nothing dear that they can take from you. The pressure. Black man, black man, black man, tell me, what is the plan? Only you can survive. The pressure. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you.
This man has built 2 websites for me. He's built 2 websites for Joe Malash. He records all our events that because we'll be jumping into poetry education for the 2024 election. He's recorded. He's just a genius, and we're so glad that you're with us today. We love you a lot, man. Thank you for coming. When Dubious Caesar was running for president in 2016, I came down to Sicut in Tijuana, and I was asked to read a poem and do some percussion for Francisco Busto, who's a wonderful professor at Southwestern University. And I made an announcement that I apologize to the audience for the words this man was saying terrible things about Mexico, about the people of Mexico, and I apologize for that. And I said, we want to start, we have the Revolutionary Poets Brigade, and we want to start a binational, bilingual Revolutionary Poets Brigade. And when I asked this next poet to come, she said, why don't you call it the Evolutionary Poets Brigade? So the focus was on evolution, like getting away from hate and ignorance, evolution. And so we've called ourselves that ever since. She and her man came up that night with 3 other poets, and those 3 are gone now, but Pilar and Gerardo are still with us. You're going to hear from him in just a little bit. But this is the dynamic, fasten your seatbelts, Pilar Rodriguez Aranda.
Hi, hello, ¿cómo están? Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for the work you're doing. I'm not from here, but I've been enough lived in other border states, and I know enough of the experience of being part of 2 cultures to know that borders are stupid and unnecessary. And it was the idea and the concept of a garden was beautiful, and here we are to defend it. And it seems like we never moved beyond the same things. I'm sad sometimes. I'll share a couple of poems. Actually, yeah, first one I'll read in Spanish. It's a poem that I wrote bilingually, but I have a version in Spanish and a version in English. And the version in English is called oh, just realized there's an error here. Anyway, it's called Mexican American, but in Spanish it's Americana Mexicana. Seems like the other way. Son 2 idénticas, a veces dándose la espalda, otras mirándose de frente. Son la misma, desde dos distintas orillas. Entre ellas, una línea que ven, tocan, sufren y a veces cruzan. Son dos miradas, son una sola, frente al espejo del deseo, proyección de sus recuerdos. Son una voz que ronca, otra que grita y en dos idiomas callan. Son cuerpo idéntico que en piel explota sin importar el centro, latitud que honra, división que ahoga. Son dos, son una. De frente sonríen, de espaldas se extrañan, voltean y se encuentran, voltean, se rechazan. En un abrazo de millas, en un beso de distancias, en un ser de segundos, son una partida en dos y sobreviven. Gracias. And this one, even though este poema, the next one, and now I don't know what I'm speaking in both. The last poem was obviously about border, and this one is more about wounds, but the border is the wound, and we try to sew it, you know, together. The poem is called Costuras. This is a book on you can find my books in Amazon, and this is right now is the only one I have in bilingual format. And so I'm going to read the English. It's called Seams. One can only survive on a thread of contention from which we hang ourselves with a smile. A thread of salvation with which we spin culprits and denote them as savages. The thread also serves to sew the pocket hideout. If your father defiles your sister, abuses your brother, is violent with you, what do? How do you survive? How do you stop crying? How do you stop crying? We don't need all this shit, but we keep crapping. We can't even demand the truth. We just continue and repeat the pain. The thread is invisible and tightens the neck, pulls blood, slits our throat. There is so much pain, one cannot talk. One cannot say where it started or what was the cause. We only know repetition. Find the same executioner to come back and slit our throats. The thread is what joins us, ties us, lashes us. The pain we feel when the needle is inserted is life itself. Gracias. Let's support the good causes. Hope you can donate. Thank you very much. Gracias.
I am so glad we're recording this. I am really, really happy we're recording this. And I write better because of these people. And they just astound me. When I'm around these people, there's an imic that happens. Inspiration, motivation, imagination, and then contagion. And contagion isn't about the COVID. It's about the influence they have on me and they have on each other. So we write better and we continue to write and we continue to tell the truth and we continue to fight for the people. We continue to be a voice for the voiceless. And I'm really thankful, Alfred, to you that you're recording this for us because this will be on the internet. Dolores Fisher isn't with us today. She was going to read next. But Dolores, you are our Shiro. And wherever you are, we love you. You said you were going to maybe have some problems with your internet, but I know you'll be with us another time. And we love you very much. So this next gentleman and I kind of hang out together. I can't say enough about the history he has with writing, the history he has with publishing, the history he has with always showing up to the open mics and always entertaining, but always challenging and always bringing us into a place where there's a connection. You know, June Jordan said that, you know, leadership is always about power. And one of the things about poetry is not ever in the vicinity of power. It's in about connection. And when Joe reads, you can feel the audience connected with him. This is my friend, Joe Milosh.
So my mother told me that my health wouldn't be very good if I hung out with sailors. So I don't do that very much. But the other night, Jim called me. We were talking about this reading and about the wall, which is only about 300 feet north of us. And you can see it if it wasn't for the building. And we were talking about, and he asked the question, why are you reading today? So that's a hard question in some sense to answer. So excuse my Spanish, but I'm going to try to do a bilingual here. Leo hoy, porque estoy triste y viejo, y conozco amor y tierra están muriendo, y estoy triste. I read today because I am sad, and I am old, and I know love and earth are dying, and I am sad. So that was my answer, Jim. And so Pilar, who's an excellent poet, she translated the next poem, and I'm going to try to not butcher it too much. I really like this translation. Porque una cicatriz en un hombre. Porque una cicatriz es un hombre marca de distinción. Es una mujer marca de desfiguración. No lo sé. Porque es chistoso cuando un hombre pierde el pelo y trágico cuando una mujer pierde el suyo. No lo sé. ¿Podrías hacer el amor con una mujer calva? ¿Qué le dirás cuando los rayos X tornen la cicatriz en su pecho crudo, rojo de hamburguesa? Cuando puede calva pierde sus cejas y hallazgo con los ojos cerrados un aspecto esquelético, la besarás y le dirás que es hermoso. No lo sé. ¿Qué hace allí en el dormitorio cuando ella está pensando en la muerte y llora? Sostengo su mano y respiro. Why is the scar on a man? Why is a scar on a man a mark of distinction? On a woman, a mark of disfigurement? I don't know. Why is it funny when a man loses his hair and tragic when a woman loses hers? I don't know. Could you make love to a bald-headed woman? What will you say when the x-rays turn the scar on her breast raw, hamburger red, when she's bald, lost her eyebrows, and lies closed-eyed with a skeletal look? Will you kiss her and tell her she's beautiful? I don't know. What do you do in the bedroom when she is thinking of death and she cries? I hold her hand and I breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So we're moving on with our fundraiser. And the story I told you about being at Sukkot, this gentleman came up, this caballero, he came up with this woman, and he's been with us on and off ever since. He's been through the having a bookstore, closing the bookstore. He's mostly involved in publishing now. But when you hear his voice, you're not going to forget him ever. This is the very talented Gerardo Navarro.
I'm gonna speak to the camera. How you doing, guys? This is Spanglish. Ríos de gente cruzando el Spanglish, buscando the American dream. Pero la línea tiene sus propios beats. Es la frontera, the frontier, where worlds collide and new identities are born. Aquí el mar habla inglés y español. Las olas rompen en Spanglish. Los perros ladran en Spanglish. Y los pájaros tuitean también en Spanglish. Avenue Revolución. Nightlife, capital del nightlife. Cantinas y strip clubs enlighten the darkness. Con luces de neón Spanglish se escucha el rock en Spanglish y el hip hop habla en Spanglish. Los muertos sueñan en Spanglish, buried bajo los highways. This is Tijuana, carnal. Tierra de nadie y de todos. Isla rodeada de wire fences. Pero no hay walls que puedan stop el corrido humano buscando freedom. Aquí estamos, tan lejos y tan cercas. The promised land, ahí está, al otro lado. Pero este es nuestro lugar, acá, de este lado. Our roots are planted aquí. Y si tenemos suerte, encontraremos our Mexican dream en los beats de la línea, the border frontier, where worlds collide and new identities are born en el ritmo del Spanglish.
Thank you, Gerardo. It's just original, very original for sure. And my Spanish isn't that good, but I was watching the faces of everybody when he was reading, and there was intensity and there was smiles. That was really nice. It was very, very nice. So our next poet, as we move right along. Oh, by the way, if you just joined us, this is the San Diego Tijuana Evolutionary Poets Brigade, and we are here to support the Friends of Friendship Park, and we're doing a fundraiser today. If you have the flyer that we sent out, and right here, you'll notice the QR code. You can tune into that on your cell phone. And please make, if you don't have a lot to give, a small donation would be appreciated. We would like to try and raise $500 today for this very noble cause. And we don't like those two 30-foot walls La Migra has put up at the playas between Tijuana and San Diego. That's not what it was for. Pat Nixon dedicated that park in 1970. And there was only a fence about here there. And she had the La Migra cut that. And so she walked into Mexico and she said, I hope there will be no fence here. La Migra! She hoped there will be no fence here. Chris Vanoy was the San Diego beat poet. Then he was the United States beat poet. And then he was the international beat poet. And if you know the history of the beats, I went to the Beat Museum in San Francisco in 2022. You know that they are not about the status quo. And this man is not about the status quo. Do not offer him decaf. This is Chris Vanoy.
All right. Poem's called Friendship Park. There's a fence to the north where the cars idle in long lines, belching fossil fuel vapors as small round ladies snake through the worm of patient cars, where vendors sell piñatas and hats that are held high on great sticks for food and clothes. Stretched across the border, there is a second fence, and this fence spills its ending into the Pacific Ocean, where it drowns as it walks into the blue water that is consumed by the rising tides, as if an artist had placed the rusting poles there deliberately so they could disappear into the sea. Here, where the trans-border megalopolis grow between mountains and the sea. Eastward, it stretches into rocks and deserts, sagebrush and snakes. La Migra flies into the sky with drones overhead, vigilance at the border that cannot be seen from space. Many trying to find some way of getting through, only to find the way by dying. I stand here on a hill in San Diego, looking from the golden hills south, looking from the hills filled with diamonds that climb up out of the slough where the border begins. It sits there sparkling in the night sky. Tijuana rises sparkling like diamonds in the night from the border north here. The hills turn golden here, but green spring contrasting the diamond arcs of light in the borderlands that sit between diamonds and gold, sit between hopes and dreams, success and failure, life or death. The bull ring sits just south of the Friendship Park, disappears where the fence ends, where the diamonds of light dance in the water, where hope swims round and sometimes drown. Thank you.
Old man getting up. So we're almost to the end of our sojourn together. And I'd like to ask Dan if he would come up and make some closing statements. And then I'd like to finish with a couple of poems. Dan Watman, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you again, Jim. Supposedly live here on Instagram, but it keeps going up. Anyway,
Thank you, everybody, for, hadn't heard your poems before. It's beautiful. So glad I got to hear you guys. So glad I got to be here, hear everybody. I've heard you guys before. Poems, so happy you're here. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know what else to say. There's the garden is, on the Mexican side, a lot of the plants are right up against the wall. And so they're kind of, and the wall is actually 3 feet into the United States. For example, there's a toyon tree that's been there for 17 years now. And it's like 2 feet from the wall. So it's kind of a little bit in the United States, I guess, technically, even though it's on the Mexican side. And its root systems reach as deep as 30 feet deep. And so they're definitely on both sides of the border. And that toyon bush, or toyons in general, live as long as 500 years. And this border has been here for, I don't know, 175 years or something. And so it's really just like a blink of an eye compared to how long the native flora, the native peoples, the native fauna have been here. And I hope the deep roots of the idea that, you know, where we're standing, the Mexican government likes to say this earth belongs to us, and then, you know, 200 feet north of here, the United States like to say this earth belongs to us, but the truth is the idea of the Kumeyaay people is that the earth doesn't belong to anyone, we belong to the earth. And so we don't have any right to be desecrating it with walls and dividing. We need to unite to save ourselves and to save our connection with the earth. So muchas gracias for your time, and
Thanks to everyone that was watching online on Instagram, hola, and on Zoom.
and a special gracias a ti, amigo, for initiating this and making this happen. Muchas gracias. Te quiero mucho.
You just heard a patriot with a lot of class. La Migra, pay attention about having class. You did not listen to us. And I'm talking about our community on both sides of the border. We don't want those 30-foot walls there. And we are going to continue to fight to, I think the term on the computer talk is to delete them. And we're not going to go away. And these are my final two poems. This is a man named Jose Antonio Rodriguez. And there's a little bit of epigram before the poem. This American autopsy, Jose Antonio Rodriguez examines what it means to be on the edge between nationalities, acceptances, and dismissals by La Migra. Immigration agents. Maybe we could also call them agents that are opposed to our voices. When did anxiety become a birthright for whole groups of people? From the very beginning. How has a country made of immigrants come to this current moment of walls and detention facilities? His poems are humanizing testaments of life, penetrating headlines, inviting readers into real rooms and families. And so that epigram was by Naomi Shihab Nye, a Palestinian American who was born in San Antonio. And this is Jose Antonio Rodriguez's poem called La Migra. The grown-ups sat on their long chair called couch and talked of the weather, the dew of the blossoms morning, and what might happen to us, the children. Mom said, don't leave the house, not without papers. Do I dare speak of the papers hoarded in corners? How many more poems can you write about a face spackled with fear before it holds you? The reader aiming to, let us find a darkened corner, you and I, where we will lay these words, leave children to sleep in windowless rooms, the mother biting a prayer, the country weaving a tomb. My last poem I wrote with a group of veterans, and we have some veterans here in Tijuana that were deported. We'll be taking some flyers to them today about this free online workshop where they can come and write their poems about how they fought for the United States, they fought in a war, they were promised citizenship, and because of a DUI or a bad check or something, they were deported away from their families. And you and I both know those are offenses that deserve a fine, maybe a week in jail, not deported out of the country away from their families. And so we're hoping to reach out to Hector and the deported veterans here in Tijuana to write your poems with us in our workshops and tell your story, because we'll put those poems in the veterans chapter of the San Diego Poetry Annual. Our deadline is October the 15th. So when you get the cards that we've left today and the flyer with the link on it, please come and write with us. Espanol or Inglés, doesn't matter to us. This is called one poem, Footsteps on the Path. When a veteran is not torpid and writes poetry, writes from the heart, we see things more clearly. We write, yes, these things really happened to me. Yes, this was real. Yes, I did survive this. Yes, I almost shot my shipmate, horse playing with that 45. When the rockets were exploding in that deafening roar, I was so scared, I almost forgot my name. Almost upchucked all the whiskey and the beer. Yeah, the night the army sergeant lost his best friend, blown to bits in the rocket's roar, he sunk down on his knees, wailing, screaming, no, no, no. No, we didn't know what to do. No, we shouldn't have left him, but we didn't know what to say. We just met him 3 hours ago. Fire sirens don't mean incoming anymore. When a veteran writes a poem, we stop carrying the inside baggage from the war, so we start to heal. No, no, one poem doesn't cure all the poisons we've swallowed. Yes, one poem begins the footsteps on the path that eventually leads us to the welcome mat, leads us home. Welcome home. We are the evolutionary San Diego Tijuana Poets Brigade. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you, Alfred Williams, for being our Zoom master. Thank you, Dan Watman, for sharing your wisdom with us. And we have a man in the audience named River.
Yes.
And we are glad you're here with us, because the river goes into the ocean and becomes the ocean. So we welcome you too. We love you. Take care. Alfred, let's stop that recording, please. And we are done.
You got it.